Topic 10, Lesson 4, Subtracting Fractions with Unlike Denominators. Today you will use models and computational procedures to subtract fractions with unlike denominators. This is very similar to adding fractions with unlike denominators in that you will change an equivalent calculation with like denominators. Okay, so look at the top of lesson 4, and it says subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, and it starts with a question. How can you subtract fractions with unlike denominators? So let's look at the story problem. Linda used 1/4 yard of the fabric she bought for a sewing project. How much fabric did she have left? Well, we know that word left usually means to subtract. So we know that we've got this 2/3 right here, so that helps us know that's our other fraction. So if she used it, this whole thing is 2/3 yard, 2/3 of a yard. She used 1/4 of a yard. We know that we're going to subtract 2/3 or 1/4 from 2/3. Just a reminder that you cannot subtract or add fractions with unlike denominators because it's like subtracting, or you can't subtract different numbers or sizes of pieces. That's like trying to subtract apples from oranges. You can't do that. They're not the same. So look at steps 1, 2, and 3 on the following page. It says to change the fractions to equivalent fractions with a common denominator, and they used the LCM, or the least common multiple, to determine what would be equivalent. Now, you could always just multiply the denominators. However, that does end up being 12, so that works out. But it could be 3 goes into 36, and so does 4. So you could use that. However, this will be the least common multiple. All right, so they did multiples of 3 and multiples of 4. 3, 6, 9, 12, 4, 8, 12. 12 is the least common multiple. Okay, so equivalent fractions, 2/3. If you multiply that by 4, you get 8/12, and here they show that visual. Here's 2/3, and then divided into 12ths. And then, of course, the red is the whole. Okay, 1/4, they multiplied by 3, numerator and denominator, and got 3/12. 1/4 is equivalent to 3/12. All right, so basically you just put them together, and, or excuse me, you've got your, what is it, 8/12, and they just took away or crossed out the 3/12, which is what they did right here, okay, to get 5/12. So we know she has 5/12 yard of fabric left. Let's practice doing that with the problems below. So get your pencil and notebook ready. All right, so in 1 through 4, we are to find each difference, simplify if necessary. Notice it says simplify. That means put it in simplest form. Okay, so 5/6 subtract 1/2. Well, they've done the work for you. They just didn't show the work, but I want you to show the work. 5/6 we don't need to change because 1/2 we know that is, if I multiplied by 3/3, I'd get 3/6. Okay, so now we can subtract, and you get 2/6. Now, that can be simplified. If I divide by 2/2, I get 1/3. So it says to simplify. So 1/3. So technically, if you don't simplify, your fraction is not incorrect, but it says to simplify, so it would technically be wrong if you didn't. Okay, I'm going to skip down to number 3 because number 2, they've already done the work for you and you know how to subtract when they have common denominators. Okay, 1/2 minus 3/10. All right, so I'm going to line them up here. I line them up vertically because it makes it easier to show your work. So 1/2 times something and 3/10 maybe times something. We got to get them to have common denominators. However, if I do the least common multiples of 2 and 10, you see that it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I don't even have to do anything for 10 because it's already, doesn't need to be changed. That's the least common multiple. So I can multiply by 5/5 to get 5/10. Okay, and I can leave 3/10 as is. What I can do is just to show, I can just do multiply by 1, and I get the same thing, 3/10. So 5 minus 3 I know is 2, same denominator, 2/10. However, that can be simplified. So show the work of how you would simplify. Divide by 2/2 because 2, I can't divide by anything bigger than 2 because that's going to get me the smallest number, which would be 1/5. Okay, so you have to show all this work. This is very important for you to show because then I know what you're thinking. So show all that work. Otherwise, you need to go back and redo that. So it's probably easier to do it the first time. All right, so good luck, guys. Finding the least common multiple is going to help you determine what equivalent fractions to use when subtracting. All right, do your best. Good luck.